Welcome everybody to 15 Minutes of Finance, where in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to get you excited about investing. Let's do it. Okay, guys, today we have a very fun episode. It is informative across the board, so I promise if you stay the entire time, you will get actionable steps. You will get impressive companies you haven't heard of, and you'll even get story time that will put all of the information that I'm saying into a visual that you will love, you will understand, and you will be able to make money from it. I promise, okay? And look, I'm not even allowed to say guarantees. So with that, I should give a disclosure that this is all educational. This is not personal financial advice. And you can give yourself financial advice with what we're going to talk about today. That is a guarantee. Okay, we're going to talk about how you can profit from AI without owning a single AI stock. Okay, this is something I've been working on. Actually, a couple of our videos that we've done, pretty much everything since we've moved to YouTube about a week ago, has been about the AI cycle. And it just has been coming to me that this is what we should talk about. And I feel very compelled that this is important and it's valuable to everyday investors. And I think you guys can learn a lot from it. So how can you profit from the AI cycle without owning AI stocks? So that takes us to our term of the day, which is going to be supply chain, which I do not have up. Give me a second, guys. Okay. A supply chain is the entire network of people, organizations, and activities, information, and resources required to create and deliver a product or service from its origin as raw materials to its final destination with the end customer. Okay, a whole bunch of words. All it means is from start to finish, how does the product get in your hand, right? How does the phone get from rare earth minerals into the phone? That cycle of it, that is the supply chain, and that's the key to today. Okay, and I don't remember what episode it was. I think it was how the AI is going to make millionaires. I think that was the episode. Go back and look at that. We might even link it for you. But we go over the entire from ground to robots in your house. That's the episode. We go over how the exact cycle, the supply chain of everything from in the ground to in your house robots. And I wanted to full circle it today because this is how you can make money without actually having to guess which AI company is going to do really well. Okay, so let me whip up my notes here. Understanding the ecosystem is huge. Okay, so AI is not just, it's AI. Like, it's not just one thing. We'll put it up here. These are the 9 steps. I think it's on this side, Jake. Maybe it'll be on this side. But these are the 9 steps, whichever side it is, of the cycle. And you can make money investing in any single one of these. But there are a few that are better to invest in than others depending upon your risk tolerance. So whenever I think about investing, when we invest for individual clients or even institutions, there's really 2 thought processes for us. One, we're going to make a portfolio based upon how they want to be invested. Okay, so it's not just, hey, this is what we're investing in, deal with it or leave it. That's not how we work. Everybody is individual and they have their unique style. Now, a lot of our growth clients, they have a lot of AI. Okay, we've done really, really well, and so have the clients by choosing these companies. And it's been a little risky for us to say, hey, we do think Palantir is going to be great, right? Over Snowflake or some of these other software companies, or even picking NVIDIA over AMD, right? It's like, wow, that's a tough, that's a gamble. You're making guesses. Now, obviously, we have education and evidence behind these guesses, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to spend the time researching that I did to be able to make these, to come up with the evidence to put clients in these good picks. Okay, there are multiple ways to participate without actually having to own them. Okay, so the number one way I would suggest looking at this is the top and the bottom of the funnel. So Jake, if you could put the thing back up here, you'll see that, and let me pull it up myself. So you have raw materials is the very, very beginning. This is the obvious one, right? This is the pickaxe, the shovel, the actual mining. That's my mine action there of the minerals that go into all of the technology, all of the chips. And then at the very, very end, I usually consider the last 2 in the chip making process to be the end, which is the cloud, right? We have the cloud providers. We have Oracle, we have Google, Microsoft, Amazon's cloud. And then you have like the actual enterprise, which these are the people that give the final product to the client. Excuse me, which is Meta, Amazon, OpenAI, actual ChatGPT. So investing in the top and the bottom of the funnel potentially and most likely can save you a lot of volatility, that is the name of the game. There are only 3 things that are certain when you're investing. Okay, you have risk. You're always going to have to take a certain amount of risk, and you're always going to have to try and get a certain amount of reward. Okay, and then the third is volatility, right? And it's really sums up. If you can understand those 3 things, you can be a pretty darn good investor. So whenever I'm thinking about, especially older clients, right, or clients who are just they don't like risk. They don't like it. And now what I'm saying here is that I have clients who, one in particular, who loves when things go well, right? He has AMD. Yesterday, AMD obviously went to the moon, and he's like, "Why do we only got $5,000 worth of AMD?" And I'm like, well, actually, Bob, we'll say his name's Bob. It's not Bob, but actually, Bob, we had $1,000 of AMD when we started 2 years ago. Now we have 5,000. He's like, well, why don't we put everything in there? Because I would get a call when that dropped 15%, and you would be like, we got to get out of this. I can't believe you put me in this. People are so emotionally invested in what is happening right now that they're not able to see the bigger picture. And so I think that for those kind of investors, and it's no knock against them, right? I get it. We have to, your money's important. Okay, and if you manage your own money, it's even more important. But that emotional, immediate connection to the money makes it extremely difficult to make the best decisions. Okay, and yeah, I'm a financial advisor. We manage money for other people. I say this in almost every episode. You can do this yourself. Okay, I just have an advantage over you. 1, because I spend all my time doing this. And 2, I'm 1 step removed. Okay, it doesn't really affect me that much if your money goes to 50 million. What affects me is that you're happy. Okay, and I want to be able to invest the way that makes clients happy and proud of what they've done with their own money. And then we're able to maximize that, right? Now, obviously, if we can get you to 50x, we would love that. That is ultimately the goal for some of our growth clients. But okay, so how do you do this, right? Well, there's a link in our description that is going to come up with, and I just chose 3. There's no rhyme or reason to this, but 3 companies for each one of these cycles, whichever side it's on, or steps in the cycle, the supply chain. There are companies that you can invest in. Now, some of them are foreign companies, and there's no ADRs, and you can't really get them right now in America. But just by knowing the industries, you could say, what American companies mine the materials needed for NVIDIA to make their chips? And you'll come up with 15 companies that potentially are involved, okay? Excuse me. I've had the worst allergies lately. But we're here. We got to make good content for you guys. Informational, get you some money, work hard content. So yeah, the entire cycle has ways to make money, but the main ones that I want you to focus on are the raw materials and the equipment suppliers, and then at the very, very end, okay, the enterprise apps, and then the cloud computing. Those 4 in particular, the bottom 2 and top 2, they provide an advantage. You get to participate in the actual AI without actually having to guess which one of these AI companies are going to absolutely explode. Okay, it is safe to say that Meta is going to go with whatever AI company that they're working with at the time. They're going to go with the best of the best. Okay, and by investing in them, you're going to get the bottom or the top end of the funnel cycle. And I think that makes your risk exposure way less than trying to guess if it's going to be Palantir or NVIDIA or AMD that's going to work with the next with Tesla, right? Just like how AMD partnered with OpenAI. Now you don't have to guess on that because you're already investing directly in Tesla or directly in Meta, right? That is a massive advantage. And yeah, chances are you're going to get less return, but you're also going to get less volatility. And so you get to have a little bit of risk management on the side of the AI exposure while you're also getting to participate, right? The way I like to view it is you get to participate in the marathon and in the winnings without having to pick who's going to come in first. You don't have to do that, right? Now, again, you don't get the whole trophy, you don't get the whole pie, but you still get some of the pie, right? And that is super valuable to so many investors because a lot of you who are retail investors, you're emotionally invested in your money and it makes you lose money. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of financial advisors. I think a lot of them do a terrible job. In fact, I've met 3 advisors that I would trust with my own money out of thousands. Thousands. Think about that. That is a terrible percentage. It's why I left the big industry. I was a corporate sellout out of college, and I left to start my own company after I learned enough. And the last place I was at, that's where the advisors were. And I go, these are the people I want to learn from, and I learned as much as I could from them. Anyways, what I'm saying is that advisors, when you have them on your team, you tend to do better, right? Even the ones that stink, they do better than retail investors. Now, obviously, if you're here and you're watching this, you might be the exception, and I hope you are, okay? But take these things with a grain of salt, and remember, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Okay, so the first part now, or the bottom of the funnel, is going to be the raw materials. This is where I think there's an advantage that people don't talk about, which is going to be potential dividend income, and there is a major cash flow advantage to the beginning of the cycle because NVIDIA, AMD, they have to invest in the raw materials before the raw materials come. Okay, there is a cash flow before delivery that happens, whereas there's not really any other part of the cycle that has that. So when you invest in Rio Tinto or China Northern Rare Earth, you're getting effort, right? You're paying for their effort to maybe get the minerals. Investing in those companies means there's just consistent, dependable income trying to achieve that. I think there's value in investing that way, and it's safer, less risky, because they're not just mining for NVIDIA. They're not just mining for chips. They're mining for other things. And so you get an exposure to an industry that participates in the AI, but isn't dependent on the AI. Okay, it's a win-win, and it's a slow compounding over time. While in the middle, the AMDs, the NVIDIAs, the Palantirs, the volatility is massive, and you better be right that you pick the winners. You better be right. When you do the top and the bottom of the funnel, you get way more flexibility, way less volatility. I would say it's dependable and it's way more predictable. Okay, so to give you an image, I'm going to tell you guys a story. And by the end of this, I hope you get the idea. Let me look. What was his name? Samuel Brannan and Levi Strauss. Okay, picture this. It's the 1800s or whenever they started mining gold. Let me look up gold rush time period. Should probably know this, but yeah, 1848. It's 1848. You're poor. You have nothing. And you see this man running across the street. You're in San Francisco. And you see this man running across the street with this little bottle of gold. And he's yelling, gold, gold, gold. And you see him run all the way down the street into this little supermarket store. Right? And you're like, oh, what's that? And you go in there. And it's the guy, he's working at the counter. And he goes, oh my gosh, there's all this gold. And you get all excited and you say, how do I get the gold? And he goes, you know what? I got exactly what you need. Here's a pickaxe and a shovel. That'll be $4 or probably even less. That'll be 71 cents. And you go, oh my gosh, I got to go figure out how to get 71 cents. And then as you're leaving, you see someone else coming in the store and be like, I heard there was gold. And then you finally go get that 71 cents. You come back to the store and now there's a massive line of people out this side this store. People coming in with nothing, leaving with shovels and pickaxes. Okay. That guy who ran that store, that guy was Samuel Brannan. He was California's first millionaire. Very, very first millionaire. And he had a little bit of a maybe questionable tactic, but it was exceptionally successful. He saw that people were coming to mine gold in California. And he said, well, what do they need to mine gold? They need pickaxes, pans, and shovels. So he took all of his money from his little supermarket store and he bought all the shovels, all the pans, and all the pickaxes he could. And then he ran through the street yelling, gold, gold, gold. Okay. Everybody came to him for the pickaxes and the shovels, and he sold it to them at 400% premium. So obviously probably not the best moral philosophy as a business owner, but it did work, and he became the very first millionaire. That is what this is like, doing it the top and the bottom of the funnel. Okay. Well, that's the bottom of the funnel. Now, another very important person in the gold rush era is Levi Strauss. We all know Levi Strauss, right? Levi's, they're some of the best jeans. You know how Levi got started? He got started because he noticed people who were mining gold were bending over a lot and their pants were getting worn and they were getting rips. And he said, you know what? They need durable pants. And so he created Levi Strauss jeans. And the only real unique special thing that he did was he added copper to the seams. And he sold his jeans to gold miners at a premium. And because of that, he got his industry started. Okay, that is the top of the funnel, where he's like, you know what? These people, they need it while they're working. Let's get them some jeans. Okay, he saw a need and he filled it. All right, that is this visual for you. I hope you guys consider investing in the pickaxes and the pans, or the pickaxes and the pans, and then also the jeans of the industry, the Levi's. Okay, that is it, guys, for today. As always, invest early, invest often. We'll see you next week.